they use this two ways which are genius.
So the big question is, what are the top agents doing to absolutely crush it in real estate, grow their teams, and add more transactions year over year while so many struggle? If you ever thought about this, you're not alone. No one has been able to get the answers until now.
We spent the last few years helping agents sell billions in real estate, rubbing shoulders with top producers, which got us thinking, how can we expose more people to these insights to help raise the standard in the whole real estate industry? We then realized that we could help bridge the gap by getting the secrets from the best of the best so that you can succeed. My name is Andrew Dunn.
And my name is Peter Michael. Welcome to Elite Agent Secrets.
Hey everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Elite Agent Secrets. Today we've got Conrad, a 17-year veteran of real estate. This year they're going to do about 700 grand in GCI. And today we're going to be chatting about everything database, CRM, events, and giveaways. So he's an absolute powerhouse. We can't wait to let him unveil his secrets and help you guys succeed. So Conrad, thanks for jumping on with us today. How's everything going?
Yeah, thanks, Andrew.
Conrad, I gotta say, you are probably one of the most consistent real estate agents that I know. Always, when it comes to your follow-up, how meticulous you are with your database and CRM. That's why I'm excited for you to actually spill a little bit beans on that, because you are boots on the ground. As much as you delegate and you have a very leveraged business that we'll chat about, you are not afraid to jump in, create new things, make it better. So talk to us a little bit about where did that love really begin? Why are you so consistent and meticulous? You know, you're pushing some serious freaking GCI for everybody who's listening. They didn't get that over 600 grand, not to sell you short, almost 700.
Yeah, I mean, what where that came from is honestly just learning the right habits. You know, I started out in real estate back in 2003. I got into in 2007 is when I started I got my license in Colorado. I was in Nebraska before, and I started learning from producers, top producers who consistently worked their database, who consistently made the phone calls, had contacts, and just followed up. One of the biggest mistakes I saw from agents early on was there were a lot of agents who were doing this like one and done type of deal, where they would find someone who's ready to do business. So they'd put all their attention on them, and they'd get the deal done, and then they'd kind of forget about them. I don't know the exact numbers right now, and the NAR stat says something around 80% of buyers and sellers would use their agent again, but something around 20% actually do. The question is why? Like, if they would have at the time, what's the difference between when they sold or bought and when they actually get time to do another transaction? What changed? I'm sure a few people are out of business, right? Because not everyone can stay in business. But I actually think I think most people, it's because they just didn't stay in contact. They don't know if that agent's still in business. They don't even remember the agent's name half the time.
This is such an interesting, I can't remember the fact either, like the exact quote, but is it within 30 or 60 days, they forget the agent's name who doesn't keep in touch. And within, is it 180 days, they even forget the brokerage that the agent was with. It's some like bizarre fact. And yeah. I've spoken about this before. There's a guy I know, and there's a pest control they use. I've told this story, and he never needs it, ever. But this guy, and it's the worst follow-up ever, but every new year he messages him and goes, Happy New Year. And it's from like, I don't know, Andy's Pest Extermination, right? And then he was saying like 3 months ago, he was like, we had this weird problem where every morning we kept seeing mouse droppings on our like front porch bit. And then all of a sudden, like the only person I knew to contact was Andy's Pest Extermination, because for 5 years, this guy sent one text every New Year saying, Happy fucking New Year to this guy. And he's like, but it was like front of mind was the guy who texts me every year. It's like such a simple thing. But it's crazy that those statistics are mental, aren't they? They can't even remember the agent's name, and then they forget the brokerage within months. It's not years, it's months.
and that's what's, it doesn't take long at all. And I love it. I love that statistic because that means there's so much opportunity out there.
Yeah.
Right.
100%.
All I have to do is create a relationship with people and be genuine in that relationship. And I've got opportunity all over the place. And so
Dude,
by
talk
doing a
about
good job
the
of that.
opportunity, before you even go into that, you text me every year on my birthday. I'm not going to share what you text me because I know that's your secret sauce, unless you want to share it. Even though it's a video, it's a little bit personalized, but I know how you're doing it. So if you want to share it, that's fine. We can tease the audience a little bit. But
it's one of those things
funny
that
as fuck every single year.
And that's my goal. I want to make sure people remember me. And I'm like, what are people doing? Like, everyone gets birthday wishes, right? Everyone gets like a happy birthday on their Facebook wall or whatever. And even a lot of people even get messages. So I'm like, well, how can I stand out a little bit? Well, I can send a video. And I always try to make it funny. The challenge is I have very dry humor. I mean, we're talking like Monty Python level dry humor. And
welcome to the club.
Yeah,
exactly. It is the same way.
Not everyone appreciates that, but at least most people understand that I don't take my life too seriously. I take real estate seriously, but I don't take everything else too seriously. So the goal really ends up being about how can I stand out a little bit and still leverage my time. I make one video for the entire year, right? Yeah. There are some people that, I will, like they're high, like they are close friends, things like that. I'll shoot them a quick video and say happy birthday. Sure. And that doesn't work for 90% of my Facebook friends, right? I don't have time to do that.
Well, you don't
so
have
I'm like,
the time, the scalability, and
it's not scalable. Yeah, it's not scalable. So how can I make this scalable? Well, I can leverage that out. The other thing that I've been doing lately is I've been systematically going through my database, my Facebook database, because let's be honest, that is one. And I'm just reaching out to people and saying, hey, you popped in my mind. How are things? How are you? Like a real intentionally trying to be genuine about it. But I'm doing it very systematically. So in order to hit everyone in my database. Now, I just started doing that this year. And to be quite honest, I'm not actually the one that sends the initial message. But
that's okay.
That's okay. It's just the initial message, right? I'm the one having the conversation. And I'm the one that's doing the after they respond, if they do respond, I'm the one that's doing all of that. But my admin is the one that's going through and sending the initial message just to get it done. And it's a way to be systematized by it, and it's a way to be leveraged by it. And I've been having some interesting conversations. Some people are like, why are you messaging me? Like they're totally weirded out by it because I haven't built that relationship, right? When was the last time I messaged them other than on their birthday? Never. Right. And so, or I haven't seen them since high school or whatever it is. And I'm like, how can I build better relationships with the people around me? And I'm literally not doing it I'm not doing it for like the specific idea of business. Will it create business? Yeah. I'm doing it because I'm trying to build better relationships with the people that I'm Facebook friends with, that I'm in lives with. And if I can be more genuine and be better about that, will I get additional growth in my business? Sure. Is that a great byproduct? Absolutely. And so
I think the key thing that you just said here is the intent. The intent isn't just to get business. The intent is to build a relationship. For all of you that's listening that missed it, you're not doing this expecting a transaction in return. But what you're doing is you're depositing into that relationship account for whatever it is, whether the conversation is long or short. The initial outbid, and this is probably a limiting belief for a lot of people that are listening to this, is like, well, if I'm not going to message them, how am I supposed to do this? And you just heard it. It's okay for your admin to help you and leverage that initial touch point, because you cannot be in multiple places at once. You cannot have hundreds of conversations and waste your time. It's almost like cold calling, right? Like initially, like if they show a response, they show that intent of wanting to connect back with you, That's when you come in, where you're authentic, genuine. You're going to build that relationship with them long term. And I think that's really what sets you apart, is you're not doing it, I don't want to say maybe for the wrong reasons, right? You're doing it with the right intentions to grow the relationships, because you genuinely want to meet those people. So even if you haven't talked to them since high school, who cares?
Yeah.
Hit them
Yeah.
up, see where they're at in life. And if they're not a good fit, you at least can cleanse them off your friends list, right?
Well, that's exactly what I've been learning by this, is like, as I've gone through this, the people who are the most weirded out and they're just not willing to engage in it, they're like, why in the world are you doing this? I'm sitting here thinking, why in the world am I Facebook friends with them? Like,
Yeah,
this,
get them off. Get them off your list.
And the other cool thing is I've actually I've fixed a couple of relationships that I didn't know were even broken. I had one person come back to me and said, "I thought you hated me." And I'm like, I never had a hateful thought to that person in my life. And yet they were sitting here for years, sitting here thinking that I hated them. And I have no idea exactly where it came from. We talked a little bit about it as far as like, oh, so-and-so told me that you hated me on all this stuff. And I'm like, so the point is, I got a chance to actually talk to them, and I got a chance to actually fix the relationship. And the relation, is it 100% fixed right now? I don't know. We're probably going to meet up, grab a cup of coffee, hang out a little bit, and just make sure things are cool. I certainly wasn't necessarily reaching out to them in order to say, hey, I want to be best friends or anything like that. I don't have time to have 3,000 or 5,000 best friends. And I'm so thrilled that I'm getting the opportunity to fix a relationship that I didn't even know was broken, that I didn't even know there was a problem. And so that's what's been cool about this.
That's so powerful, because now we always talk about this when it comes to your sphere. You never know if, where your next deal is going to come from. And that person could have literally thought about you for years and be like, I know Conrad is, moving and grooving in this market, and I would love to refer him XYZ person because he is one of the best. I mean, I'll say this, you are, because I know you won't because you're too humble, you are one of the best in your market, right? So where I'm going with this is, now by fixing that relationship, now you've opened another avenue that was closed.
Yeah. And, it leads right into the way I do this is very systematic. So I was able to find a way. It's really complicated, but to export all the birthdays from Facebook used to be easy. They've made it hard. It's possible. Pain in the butt. And then what I'm doing on this is I'm actually on this little touch is I'm doing it on their half birthday. They don't know that, but I'm literally 6 months after their birthday. I'm adding an additional touch systematically throughout the year. I think my intent will be is, once I've done this a year, I'm probably actually going to do it. So birthday and then 2 other times, so a third of the year, to make it into 3 touches throughout the year. And I'll just have to change. I'm going to change up the verbiage each year just a little bit. But
that's interesting. Why thirds? Because we hear people doing quarterly. I'm assuming because everybody does it quarterly. But I know you always have a reason for every little thing that you do.
So my goal is to increase to something where that increasing that contact, that connection, all those things happens more naturally. And so right now I'm already doubling the communication with some of these people, and it's awesome on my Facebook algorithm. I'm actually seeing more things on there because we interacted through that conversation, and then I'm clicking on their profile to see what else is new. I'm asking them what's happening in their lives. So that's part of it. I can see this probably, it might switch to quarterly touches. It just kind of depends, but it's about growing that systematically, and it's about being systematic about it. I need some way to do it purposefully, right? Because if I'm doing it haphazardly, then without purpose and systematic, then I'm ending up just hitting a small portion of my database that's in Facebook, because we all know that the Facebook algorithms put the same people in front of us all the time. So how can I have those interactions with people and make sure that I'm hitting everyone? And well, this is the way I figured it out. And that's the same idea of the database too. Like if we're, when we're talking about taking Facebook being one database into your own CRM, your own database, that's the point. You can have a database, but it's not going to make you any money if you don't actually use it as a relationship management system. And that's really when it comes, one of the biggest things that I learned in you were talking about setting up habits early on. That's the habit that you have to set up is you need a way to track people and like who your conversations are with and who you have that are part of your sphere, who are not part of your sphere, whatever it may be. And a way to figure out how often am I touching with them and connecting with them and building that relationship, and what do those systematic touches look like? And the only way you can really do that is through a good CRM.
You know what I've noticed also, and as you were chatting, a lot of people overcommit when it comes to what they're actually going to do as far as talking to their database initially when they start out. They're like, I'm going to do a newsletter monthly. I'm going to do XYZ. I'm going to do whatever that is, right? Mm-hmm. And they've never done it. So all of a sudden, they do a newsletter for 2 or 3, 4 months, and then they stop or it gets hard. And now all of a sudden, it becomes what you said, the haphazard approach, right? Oh, I did it for 3 months. I got no business out of it. I'm going to stop doing it, right? And you're like, let me start this the other way. Let me start this slow. And as I get a system for scalability, I would rather talk to them 3 times a year than 3 times in the next 3 months. Mm-hmm. And then you can add in frequency. Mm-hmm. So then it allows you to be, for long term, more sustainable. Really, is what you're saying.
I look for the simple ways to do it, right? So if you're someone that's wanting to do a newsletter, don't write your own newsletter at the beginning. Just find something that you can use to send out.
R&D, baby. Rip off and duplicate.
Do it with permission, but do it.
All right, yeah. I've got one for you, Conrad, and you probably never even heard of this, potentially, so you might learn something here.
Hey, I love learning new things.
There is a company called, I think it's called Paperly, but it's paper. I think it's LI. Just double check. And what's really cool is it's a newspaper that publishes every day, but you get to choose its content off RSS feeds. So you sign up and you can say, I want my content about real estate, and it pulls in content from all over the web about real estate, and every day it'll publish so many articles, and then you can set it up to publish on your walls and stuff. So it automatically publishes like our own feed. So
why haven't you shared this shit with me, dude?
I did it before. So this is what we did with our real estate company last year. We actually published this, and it's like, I think there's free trials and stuff. It's dirt cheap. Either way, it's nothing. And it actually just aggregates other people's content, goes, here's a newsletter of like the top content in real estate today. Mm-hmm. And it's just loads of articles in a paper form. Yeah.
Well, and one of the things that we've started doing, so we started making my monthly newsletter, not dependent on me. Because what I was finding is when it was dependent on me writing, because I broke it down to eventually where I was like, hey, I just want to write one section of it. And so I was working on writing that, and then but it was dependent on me, so it wouldn't go out in time. Right? Because I get busy. And so what we started doing is saying, you know what, let's not make it dependent on Conrad. We want some unique original content in there. And let's have someone else writing a lot of the content. And then now, so what I did is I pulled back instead of doing a monthly market analysis, which just takes time to write out and do. And I have the brain, I have the knowledge for it, and I can't really leverage that very easily. I'm making it a quarterly thing. So then the people are still getting that quality content that they want, because I definitely have people who are saying like, hey, I miss your market analysis stuff, like really explaining the market. The way you explain it is better and more detailed than anyone else I know. Well, okay, cool. I had to pull back and say, hey, look, let's take myself out of it, but let's just do it quarterly instead. And that will allow us to still do what we need to do.
See, I admire that, because you noticed that this was basically failing because of you. You didn't point the finger at and say, this is because of Crystal, this is because of my admin or XYZ. Like, I don't have my shit together. No, you were like, I'll take ownership and responsibility for that. I know that it's important. I'm not doing my clients a good service because now everything else is delayed. So you're able to recognize that and be like, hey, I'm going to run an audible play, AKA changing the frequency so it's more sustainable and scalable with a system that works for you so you can communicate to your database because of the feedback that you've received, how important it is to them.
Yeah. And it's not, and here's what I learned is that it's only important to a percentage of my database, because not everyone in my database has the same kind of thought process. Some people care more, like, cause I'm a little bit of a high C, not crazy off the charts like some. I'm not crazy off the charts high D in the DISC personality profile, if you don't know what I'm talking about. And I found that this particular piece is an outlet for my analytical side, and only the analytical people in my database actually care. So when I started realizing that, I was just like, okay, I can still feed those people something. I just don't need to do it as often, and they're still going to be just as happy and knowing they're working with someone who knows how to analyze the market and knows how to break it down and understands the driving factors of why prices are doing what they're doing and why what the typical flow is for the year, all those kind of things. And
AKA know your audience.
Yeah, right. I mean, and what percentage of the population is actually analytical, that high C? It's very small, relatively speaking.
It's also about, I think it's not one size fits all. Like all your clients, all your customers, they're not gonna eat the same stuff. They're not gonna drink the same stuff. It's like someone's kind of a steak, someone's a burger, someone's a salad, and you kind of got to try and within reason you try and fit all of them into the bag. So like, because I am that person, so like I'm highly analytical. Like my past life, I'm an engineer. So like that's
you're the person that would love what I do. Yeah, you're the person that would read through that, and you would break it down. You'd love to that's why. All the numbers, stats, all that kind of stuff. You would love it. But that's not everyone. And
it's the opposite. Like no one.
Yeah, right. And so, and what I've learned is that I need my content to appeal to all the different styles. But it doesn't have to. I'm just like, it doesn't have to every time. I can put a link to some of my source information, and those high C people will be totally thrilled with that because they're like looking at the source, right? And then, but I'm teaching them how to understand that information through my quarterly. Cool, that works. And the other thing that I was with the database. So database is huge. With the CRM, you need to make sure you're staying in front of people consistently and very systematically. You need to make sure that you are staying top of mind in order to do that. Now, the problem in today's world is that can feel very cold. And that's one of the things that we've been working very hard on with our database is creating subcategories. So we're subdividing our database a lot right now. We're working on doing this. It's a very tedious process, but we're trying to break it down to ways that we can have more authentic connections with people within our database, but still be highly leveraged and still be very systematic. So, for example, the dividing out our database. So we're in Denver, Colorado, right? And so I'm dividing out my database based on what type of sports they love. Are they a Broncos fan? Are they a Nuggets fan? Are they an Avs fan? Like, what are Rockies? What fandom are they? Now, what I can do is, because I have a budget that I would send out like Broncos calendars, because it'll stick on their fridge and it stays up there, and they think of me as they're checking throughout the season, right? The problem is that I'm pretty sure about 60% of the people were just tossing those in the trash because they don't give a hoot about the Broncos schedule. And so I'm spending money. Now, is that a decent spend of money? Maybe. It's why we do some I still do mailers, right? I don't do all mailers, but I want that top of mind, like just seeing it kind of reminder. So it does that, but I would rather, if they're a Nuggets fan, I'd rather send the Nuggets fan a nicer calendar magnet thing to put up on there, because I'm only sending it to this smaller portion of my database, and then it stays up on there for all those people. Another example would be fathers. or mothers? Are they a parent? So when if I send a text out to people and I just say, for all you fathers out there, happy Father's Day, it's not very personal, right? Now, if I say to a specific client, hey, Ivan, happy Father's Day to so and so, and for I hope you spend a great day with your kids, so and so and so and so. Well, that's personalized, right?
100%. Yeah.
Now, how do I do that? Now, I can do that on a small scale. I can do that person by person, right? Sending it out. But if I had a space in my CRM for their kids' names, and I have a tag that they're a father, then I can, in my CRM, make an automatic text that goes out on Father's Day that says, hey, client first name, happy Father's Day. I hope you get to spend a great day with kid first name, second kid first name, third kid first name type of deal.
Yeah, personalized at scale.
Personalized at scale. I mean, this is exactly what Amazon does. When you get onto Amazon's website, does everyone see the same homepage? No.
Hell
it's
no.
based on your search history, right?
Yeah, 100%.
How can I do the same type of thing without having the $1 billion budget that Amazon has to create their algorithms? Well, I can subdivide my database down into smaller and smaller categories, but still be able to do it at a high level of scale. And that's when it comes to CRMs and databases, this is huge.
This is genius. Like, I'm thinking about this and I'm like, holy crap, this must be one of the biggest needle movers for you now, because you have this database. So that's why it's a little bit tedious, because you're kind of working backwards, right? Because you have to kind of catch up on that. So if you don't have a database 100%. And you're just starting out, like, you can start subdividing now and as you're going. Yeah. Would you say that is your biggest needle mover now, or?
So this has been a work in progress over the last 3 to 6 months, and it has been something that we're continuing to grow. I am confident that the continued personalization of our connections with people, the continued how can we make this more of a personal, customized experience for people this is just one of those pieces. We're looking at all of our processes. How are we talking to them? How are we taking them through the process? How can we do this to continue to make it personalized? I just heard someone say that one of the questions that they ask early on in the process is, what's their favorite restaurant? They use this 2 ways, which are genius. The first way they use it is when that client is moving in or closing and moving into their house, they make them a reservation at that restaurant for them to be able to go just relax a little bit, because that's a stressful time. So they make a reservation right around there, and that's part of their closing gift is depending on the level of client, things like that. They said it kind of varies if they pay or not pay. The second thing that they do is about a week before their anniversary, if they're married, they set up a reservation on behalf of them, and then they let the husband or whoever know, hey, I got a reservation set for you here if you want to use it. I know your wedding anniversary is coming up next week. I thought you might appreciate that.
How many people do you remind about their anniversary the following week, right?
Right? I mean,
and you still make them look like the absolute stellar.
I'm making them look like the rock star.
A rock star. There you go.
Yeah, I'm making them look like this amazing husband for remembering this. And the wife doesn't need to know. Who cares?
That's right.
I just let them know. Hey, we did this for you. Just want if you want to use it. If you're not going to use it, let us know, and we'll cancel the reservation. If they're great clients, if they're clients that are sending us referral after referral after referral, I'll go ahead and pay for it. Yeah, here's a $400 budget to spend at this awesome restaurant. Go to town, have fun. Why not?
I love all these are fucking awesome strategies, because this is so. It's easy to do, and it's it will move the needle. All this stuff is super nice. If I got messages with this stuff, it is nice, Because also it's the fact that very few people just stay in touch in general. Like for most people, especially when you're an adult, it's a bit different when you're growing up and you got 1,000 friends. When you're an adult, business life takes over, like work life, colleagues, all that. You're not really getting texted by a whole bunch of people. So someone that sends you a personalized video, sends you dinner reservations, all this stuff, like they stand out because you're like, holy shit, like I was having a crap week and this person has actually just cheered me up, and they'll remember that.
Well, on top of that, I just heard recently, it's no longer just about being top of mind. You have to be number one in their mind. So people are getting bombarded by real estate everything. And, they're going to be in front of like Zillow ads and Trulia ads and home by all these iBuyer ads and all these kind of things. And they're getting bombarded by real estate opportunities to go work, reasons, excuses to go work with someone else. And so if it's not good enough for me to be just top of mind, because people only remember about the top 3 at most, right? I have to be number 1 in their mind. And so how can I stand out to do that? And, again, I am looking at how can I intentionally add value to people's lives. If I can add value to their life, then it's that whole I can't say the word.
Law of reciprocity.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you, man.
Let the foreigner correct.
That's hilarious. But it's that whole idea of just like, hey, if I put enough good out in the world, and good's going to come back to me. It's that whole kind of thing. And I love the quote that I saw the other day. If people can hate people they've never met before for no good reason, then I can love people I've never met before for no good reason. And that's my attitude around everything. Now, here's the challenge. I can sometimes come off a little cold. Like it's not. There's an agent in my office. He's amazing. He is like the most like friendly, warm, bubbly person you've ever met, and you immediately feel like you're his best friend the moment you spend 5 minutes with him. The feedback I've gotten is I'm not that guy, apparently. Maybe I take life too seriously sometimes, or I just come off that way. I don't really, but I come off that way.
You're about your business and you're very intentional, right? Which can be misinterpreted for exactly what you're saying.
Yep.
Is you have a schedule, you have a calendar, you stick to it, you cut you trim all the fat off the steak, and you're just like, here's the meat on the bone, raw. And that's a level of expectation that I think is just black and white.
The other thing is, though, is people like me and you with dry sense of humor. In our head, we're like, that was a fucking great joke. And then you're internally laughing. You're like, oh, that cracked me up. And they're there going, what the fuck?
Totally. Well, and it's so true. And so certain people I mesh with, just instantly we have that connection, and other people I'm not going to. And yet...
and that's okay.
No, it's totally okay.
And that's absolutely okay.
Going back to that DISC personality profile thing, the highest percentage of people are S, and those are the sensing people. Those are sensitive. Those are the ones that memories matter, and they remember how you made them feel. Like highest thing they remember is how you made them feel. So guess what my lowest profile is in that? S. I have like none. I have no S whatsoever. I forget when someone makes me like pisses me off. I literally forget about it. Like I'm like, oh, what'd they do? Oh yeah, that's right. Oh yeah, that pissed me off. Like
it's so funny because all 3 of us are very much similar. I'm sure our wives are the totally opposite, because my wife is like, you gotta feel these things sometimes. I'm like, how?
I have my wife read emails, like sensitive emails, all the time, because I need her to just make sure I'm not being so cold and just that I'm coming off wrong. Like it's just like I need her to help reel that part in. Well, so what do I have to do? I have to figure out ways to systematically and intentionally give people great experiences, because I'm not a natural person at creating that feeling, right? So I look at my weakness and I say, how can I improve that and do that in a very analytical way? Imagine that.
Systemize it. Hey, thanks for listening to this episode. Now, before you go, we're giving access to a private training we did where we revealed the top 3 niches to get listings today completely for free. So if you want access, you can go and download that training at eliteagentsecrets.com. We're regularly releasing new trainings, guides, and cheat sheets, so make sure to head over to eliteagentsecrets.com and sign up so you don't miss out.